I opened a credit card to cover my mom's medical bills. A few days later, I saw photos of my sister vacationing in Hawaii. When I asked where she got the money, she smirked. Thanks to your credit card. Don't worry, I only spent $100,000. I laughed and said, my card only has $100. Did you check the name? That's when my mom pulled out my gold card, the one I thought I lost last month. My name is Taryn Ellis. I'm 29. And if you think you've heard this story before, stay tuned. What happens when betrayal doesn't just steal your money, it steals your face. It started like this. Mom needed surgery. Nothing cosmetic, a real emergency. Hospital bills, prescriptions, aftercare, the works. She said, we just need a little help until Medicare kicks in. So I opened a card. Small limit. Under my name. Carefully controlled. But that wasn't the card my sister used. No, that one was gold. High limit. Hidden under paperwork I hadn't looked at since college. I froze when Mom pulled it from her purse. I thought it was mine, she said, voice as brittle as dry leaves. It has my name on it, I replied. She blinked. Didn't apologize. Didn't even look sorry. That night, I checked the balance. $103,421.88. All posted under luxury brands, resorts, flights. Then I checked the IPs. Every single charge came from a beachside Airbnb in Maui. My sister had been tagging herself in photos, geotags and cocktails, like she wanted me to find it. But she made one mistake. She thought the card was under my name. It wasn't. It was under my business. And she just committed six-figure fraud against a registered LLC. With insurance. And a lawyer on retainer. Game on. The gold card wasn't mine, not in the personal sense. It belonged to the LLC I built from scratch. Ellis Social Strategies. A marketing consultancy with real clients, real liability insurance, and a business account flagged for fraud protection. Which meant every cent she spent.
It was now an official financial crime.
I closed the card, filed the report, then made a phone call I never thought I'd make. To my corporate attorney, Maya Hensley.
She didn't gasp.
She didn't flinch. Just said, you want civil or criminal? Both, I whispered. She nodded like I'd said I wanted oat milk in my coffee. Then she walked me through the plan. First, we'd alert the card's issuing bank. Business fraud. Family perpetrated, fully documented. Then we'd pull every receipt, every transaction log, every geostamp charge. And we'd use it to file a claim, one that'd trigger a federal inquiry if the amount exceeded $50,000. It did. Twice over. The next step was messy. I had to text my sister. Hey, just found out what you did. Hope the pina colada was worth it. You'll be hearing from the fraud unit soon. She replied with 3 laughing emojis. Then, her. You wouldn't dare. We're family. There it was. The shield. Family. Used like armor. Like magic words that make theft sentimental. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I screenshotted her text. Sent it to Maya. She wrote back. Perfect. Thanks for handing us motive. That night I got a call from my mother. Her voice was sharp, flat. Not sick. Not frail. You need to let this go, she said. It was just a card. I closed my eyes.
No, Mom.
It was my name. And soon, it would be her name on the stand next to mine. The investigation moved fast. Maya submitted the fraud packet by Monday. The bank froze all charges. The insurance company opened a formal inquiry. By Wednesday, my sister's account was locked. She couldn't even buy a smoothie. That's when the calls started. Blocked numbers. Voicemails from fake concern. But then came the one that burned. Mom again. You're ruining her life, she snapped. She's your sister. She made a mistake. I stared at the ceiling. Stealing $100,000 isn't a mistake, I said. It's a felony. She only did it because she thought you'd say no. I did say no, I whispered. She just didn't care. There was a pause. Then the softest threat I never saw coming. You know, if you go through with this, the family will have to pick sides. And just like that, It wasn't about right or wrong anymore. It was about loyalty. But the word family stopped meaning safety a long time ago. I opened the private folder I kept on my drive, the one labeled for when they forget. It held years of screenshots. Bank transfers I never got back. Messages where I paid for rent, tuition, and bail, all quietly. All because you're the responsible one. I selected the most damning ones. Sent them to Maya. We attached them to the fraud case. Built a timeline. A pattern. A history. This wasn't a single act. It was the latest chapter in a novel called Use Taryn Until She Breaks. That evening, I posted one sentence on my business's Instagram. Sometimes, the only way to fix what's broken is to stop letting people who shattered it hold the glue. The comments poured in. And that night, someone egged my car, cracked the windshield. I filed the report. Then I ordered security cameras. The windshield crack spidered outward, like the truth itself, splintered, visible, irreversible. I knew who did it. Not directly, but by instruction. My sister had always been too pretty to dirty her own hands. She preferred damage by influence. But I had receipts. And now, I had footage too. The camera caught a shadow. A license plate. Wes forwarded it to law enforcement. And with that, the game stopped being quiet. 2 days later, my sister was served. Officially. Legally. A fraud complaint backed by corporate counsel. She showed up at my doorstep the next morning. Didn't knock. Just stood there, arms folded, sunglasses hiding her shame like it was a designer brand. "I can't believe you dragged this into court," she said. I opened the door just wide enough for her to see my expression. "I didn't drag anything," I said. "You charged your betrayal." She stepped forward. "You really want to destroy your own sister over money?" And that's when it hit me. It was never about money. It was about entitlement. She didn't want cash, she wanted access. To my effort. My reputation. My resources. My identity was just a tool to her. I didn't answer her question. Just handed her a copy of the subpoena and said, "You have 10 days to respond. Or it moves to court." Then I closed the door. She screamed at the wood. Called me selfish. Called me cold. But that night, I slept better than I had in years. Because choosing peace doesn't always mean avoiding conflict. Sometimes, it means finally being willing to confront the war you've pretended wasn't happening. And I was just getting started. Her silence was loud after that. No texts. No threats. Just the quiet before the paperwork storm. Because while she stayed busy pretending I didn't exist, my attorney stayed busy proving I did, and that she'd impersonated me with full financial intent. The bank forwarded us more data. Time-stamped IP addresses. Device logs. A flagged login attempt from her apartment the day she, accidentally, activated the gold card. Maya smiled when she saw it. That's the nail. And then came the second blow. The insurance company issued a formal response. Claim approved. Full fraud protection enacted. Charges refunded. Account cleared. My business account returned to normal, but the case didn't. Because once insurance pays out, the company has the right to pursue the thief for restitution. And now they were.
Not just me. Them.
She wasn't facing just a lawsuit from her sister. She was facing financial recovery from a billion-dollar insurance provider. And suddenly, she remembered how to beg. I found her email at midnight. Subject, "Please, Taryn." She wrote like a martyr. Said her life was falling apart. Said she was going through things when she took the card. Said mom was sick and she panicked. Funny, she didn't look panicked sipping Mai Tais in Maui.
She ended with,
"If you drop the case, I'll pay you back. Swear on everything." I replied with one sentence. "Pay the insurance company. They own the debt now." No response. But 2 hours later, I got a new email. From my mother. It read, "What kind of daughter ruins her own family for the sake of proving a point?" I didn't answer. Because what kind of mother lets one daughter rob the other blind? And calls it loyalty? The case went public faster than I expected. I hadn't told anyone outside legal. But somehow, the story leaked, maybe a bank employee, maybe her own guilt. All I knew was, My name was suddenly in hushed whispers at the office. And hers? In headlines. Woman faces $100,000 fraud accusation after using sister's business card for Hawaiian vacation. The photo wasn't even flattering. Sunglasses on her head, cocktail in hand. Still looked smug. My mother texted again. You've embarrassed this family enough. Haven't you done enough damage? I almost laughed. I embarrassed the family? I opened a credit card for medical bills. They turned it into a free-for-all. The only thing I was guilty of was telling the truth out loud. Maya called that night. She sounded lighter than usual. The insurance company's pursuing civil restitution. You're in the clear financially. No need for you to attend court unless you want to testify. I sat with that. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. But peace wasn't silence anymore. Peace was boundaries. Legally protected. Financially enforced. Emotionally permanent. I'll testify, I said. Not to punish her. To record the truth. Because someday, someone would tell this story differently, paint her as the misunderstood sister, me as the cruel one. I wanted it on record. She lied. She stole. She smirked while doing it. And I forgave her. But I didn't excuse her. That night, I poured myself tea in the mug she gave me last Christmas. The one that said best sister ever. I dropped it in the trash. Didn't slam it.
Didn't cry.
Just let it fall quietly, the way all false things should. And in that silence, I felt something I hadn't in weeks. Freedom. The courthouse was cold. Not just the air, but the energy. My sister sat across the room, flanked by her lawyer and draped in fake humility. No more sunglasses. No more beach selfies. Just a beige sweater and a carefully chosen frown. She didn't look at me once. The judge asked the usual questions. Maya handled most of it. But when the prosecutor asked if I'd like to speak, I rose. Not with rage. With clarity. I'm not here for revenge, I said. I'm here to reclaim my name. I told the court about the bills I paid. The card I opened for a mother's care. The moment I saw the Hawaii photos. And how the laughter in those pictures sounded louder than any apology ever sent. I ended with this. She didn't steal money. She stole trust. She took my face, my credit, and wore it like a mask to buy a vacation. The courtroom stayed silent. And when I sat down, I felt no fear. Because this time, I hadn't swallowed the betrayal. I'd spoken it. The ruling came swiftly. She was ordered to pay restitution, not to me, but to the insurance company. Her assets would be monitored. Any attempt to open new lines of credit would trigger a report. Legally bound. Publicly documented. Financially cornered. Outside the courthouse, I walked past her. She whispered, "Are you happy now?" I stopped. "I'm whole now." She scoffed. "You think this makes you better than us?" I turned fully, looked her in the eyes. "No," I said. "It just makes me free from you." Then I walked away. That night, I closed the last tab on my laptop. Fraud reports. Bank statements. Insurance claims. I clicked archive. Then I opened a new one. Labeled it. Boundaries. Do not share. Closure didn't come in court. It didn't come in payouts or frozen accounts. It came in quiet choices. I blocked her number. Deleted my mother's contact too. Not out of anger, but necessity. Because healing isn't a door you open for guests who set your house on fire. The weeks that followed were calm. Uneventful even. No more emergencies. No more fake apologies wrapped in birthday invites. I used the refunded funds to hire a financial advisor. Open new business accounts with tighter protocols. Set alerts for even the smallest charges. I'd learned that betrayal doesn't always wear a ski mask. Sometimes, it wears your last name. One afternoon, I walked past a jewelry store. In the window, a gold bracelet. Simple.
Clean.
Mine. Not the one my sister once borrowed and never returned. Not the one I found in her Instagram photos 3 years ago. This one? Bought with my own card. With my name embossed on the receipt. As I slipped it on, I remembered something my grandmother used to say. The people who love you shouldn't make you prove it. I used to think that meant I had to earn love. Now I understood. Love isn't tested through sacrifice. It's revealed when sacrifice isn't needed. I walked home, bracelet light on my wrist, phone silent in my pocket. At my front door, I paused. No broken glass. No eggshells, real or emotional. Just space.
And peace.
And a version of myself I hadn't met in years.
Whole.
Unapologetic. And finally unhooked from the belief that forgiveness means reunion. It doesn't. Sometimes forgiveness means closing the ledger, not forgetting the debt, but choosing never to let it drain you again. And this chapter?